Investment details. This chart shows the composition of the currently issued and outstanding equity. All shares are common shares. In round numbers, 200,000 shares are founder shares. 54,500 shares were issued at $5.50 per share for $300,000 of early capital that was paid in 2014 by the founders, and 24,500 shares were issued at $10.75 per share for $265,000 that was paid in 2015 by the insiders. 8,500 shares have been approved for the conversion of $265,000 of just under $300,000 in bridge loans that were made by insiders in October 2015. The loans stipulated that noteholders could convert their notes at the same price as this financing. 16,600 shares were issued at $49 per share for $815,000 that was paid by outside investors in late 2015, early 2016. The investors received an assurance that they would be made whole should up to $1.3 million in subsequent financing be raised at a lower price. 31,000 shares are reserved for the conversion of some contributors' business expenses, mainly travel. These contributors agreed on February 27, 2015, to forego reimbursement of their past due expenses as of that date, and instead convert them into shares at the then prevailing price of $1.83 per share. A similar agreement was signed by the same contributors to convert their expenses dated up to September 30, 2015, at the then prevailing price of $10.75 per share. 386,000 shares were issued to contributors for work. These shares must be earned over a period of 3 years, and earned shares vest in equal increments over 4 years. The company has a clawback provision to buy back unvested shares for $1 in total. 100,000 shares have been reserved for the conversion into shares of cash that is accumulating for hours worked, but can be withheld until the company's cash flow allows for payment. To clarify, contributor work agreements provide for the compensation of work with a mixture of equity and cash. Some agreements provide 100% of hours delivered over a 3-year period to be compensated with equity. Others provide for a varying mixture of cash and equity every year. In some cases, the cash portion is not payable until the company's cash flow allows. The plan indicates that $2.5 million worth of unpaid cash hours will have accumulated by the time the cash flow allows for repayment in July 2018. The plan double counts the liability. It provides for the conversion of the entire liability into 100,000 shares at $25 each, and it provides for the pay down of the entire liability in the 10 months following July 2018. The total number of all shares issued, reserved, and outstanding is 821,657. 80,000 shares will be issued in the current financing for $2 million in cash at $25 per share. 16,000 shares shall be issued to the shareholders who invested $835,000 at $49 on account of the protections given them on a price decrease. So, 96,000 shares are allocated in total to this financing. So 917,624 shares will be the total issued, reserved, and outstanding post-investment. This is a post-investment value of just under $23 million for the company. The new money investors will own 8.7%. This table shows how the projected value of the company at the end of 2020 was calculated. The 2020 gross margin created by one-time sales, hardware supplies, and services is $19 million. The ratio of one-time gross margin to overall gross margin was calculated to be 40%. So 40%, or $15 million of EBITDA, was attributed to one-time revenue. A multiplier of 8 was applied to this figure to yield a value of $117 million for the one-time revenue engine. This is appropriate, taking into account that the engine is also the source of 40 cents of recurring revenue every subsequent year for every dollar of one-time revenue produced. The annualized recurring revenue being generated in December 2020 is $37 million. A multiplier of 6 is in the middle of the conventional range for a quality recurring revenue stream. This values the recurring revenue component at $221 million. The intellectual property is more subjective. G4S paid $25 million in 2008 for IP that was far less valuable than is the Blue Box IP for Blue Sky and the Person Reader, so it was valued at $35 million. This all adds up to a total valuation for Blue Box of $373 million at the end of 2020. Let's put the numbers together. 917,624 shares will have been issued by December 2020. The $2 million investment will own 8.7% of those shares. That is a value of $32.5 million. This is a multiplier of 16.3 on the money invested, achieved over a 4-year time frame. This constitutes a 100% annualized rate of return, or a 1,500% rate of return. This concludes our investor presentation. Please use the view list to select any other video to view.